My name is Kylie Gregoire. What ever happened to beauty? If you've ever looked through a historical picture book, you've seen how something as simple as street lamps used to be beautiful. Elegant, cast in iron, illuminating the cobblestone streets with its soft, warm glow. Now, as we walk on our poorly paved sidewalks, we are greeted with tall steel poles that look like they should be in a factory building, blinding us with their LEDs. Now, this isn't just about lighting, it's about the beauty and intention that we've lost in our design today. The rise of modern architecture has destroyed expression, personality, and culture as a whole. Boston, Massachusetts, a city once considered the architectural heart of America, is now being threatened by waves of urban development, risking the erasure of its legacy once and for all. This erasure is a result of Boston's modern architecture emphasizing consumerism rather than permanence and purpose. Everywhere you look, the city is being reshaped for commercial use, not cultural meaning. And developers are driven by profits, not prosperity. The new buildings they're designing want to attract investors and tenants rather than to last or inspire. Let's take a look at North Station, for example. In the late 1800s, the North Station was built out of brick and stone. It was curated with care, built to last. It actually stood as a monument to civic pride and the golden era of rail travel, so it served a historical meaning. Now, North Station is practically camouflaged in concrete and metal, as it contains shopping centers and offices and condos. There's no visual narrative, just sleek surfaces for the sole purpose of selling, not to speak. These architectural patterns cater to a fast, transactional way of living, and Strongtown's 2023 article actually reads, "Every time something needs to come in on a budget, the first thing to go is the aesthetics." And that assumption becomes an ugly building is just as good as a beautiful one, when in reality, we're actually sacrificing beauty for short-term cost, only to regret it when we're surrounded by soulless cities. Urbanism promotes a narrow, standard cookie-cutter version of the life that we're told that we should be living. Look at your neighborhoods, the suburbs. Most of us live in areas where houses look nearly identical. It's no surprise that your neighbor's driveway, house layout, windows probably look the exact same as yours. That's no different in Boston. This uniformity in Boston wasn't always the case, though. It's a sharp contrast to the richness and individuality that once gave Boston its neighborhood charm. Older Boston neighborhoods were filled with brick and stone apartment buildings, each one unique, handcrafted facades, and a rhythm that reflected the diversity which in the people that lived in them. Now, developments like transit-oriented housing here, covered with metal panels, glass windows, no character, no variety, no soul. You see these as you walk down the street, rather than the traditional triple-decker homes that you once saw. These one-size-fits-all ways of living spaces may be efficient, but they erase more than they draw. They no longer reflect cultures and communities of the people that live inside them. This loss isn't just aesthetics, though. It's personal. Entire communities have been wiped off the map in the name of modernization. In the 1950s, Boston's West End working-class neighborhood, home to generations of Italians and Jewish families that came to America to build a better life and live the American dream, was completely demolished. The reason? Urban renewal. What replaced it? Slab towers. Concrete blocks that eliminated not only housing, but history, identity, and decades of hard work and human connection. In Mission Hill, once known for its classic triple-decker homes as seen in the last slide, a similar story unfolded. Those homes were affordable, represented Boston's identity. They were neighborly and friendly, but they were replaced by student-oriented housing, student apartments with no effort to preserve the character. And in the Seaport District, we can see the clearest symbol of this transformation. Once a building maritime hub, now a neighborhood of towering glass buildings and luxury offices. It's sleek, expensive, and almost entirely disconnected from Boston's seafaring past. What was once a neighborhood for the laborers is now a playground for the wealthy. Jane Jacobs, author of Life and Death of Great American Cities, argued in her book that cities have the capability of providing something for everybody, only because and only when they are created for everybody. Yet despite that insight, modern development continues to ignore the lived experiences, building for profit and not people. And as architect Jane Gill reminds us, architecture and city planning has an enormous impact on the patterns of life in the city. Yes, we form the cities, but then the cities form us. I want you to get back in touch to that emotion that you felt when you see this building rather than you see this building. The city builds you as a person. It builds the community as a whole. And Boston's modern urbanism has undeniably defied the city skyline, but not without consequence. Through the destruction of neighborhoods, the loss of human-scale architecture, and the rise of generic profit-driven developments, the city has slowly severed from its architectural roots. As Boston continues to grow, we must ask ourselves, are we building a city for efficiency or identity? The future of Boston's urban landscape should not only accommodate progress, but honor the neighborhood stories and structures that made its city the one it is today. Thank you.